Okay. Eric Clapton. All right. All right. Let's give this a shot. Happy Christmas, or I guess in this case, Happy Xmas, is a Christmas album released by Eric Clapton. Oh, this man, and how great of an influence he has been on music. Wow. And to be honest, I didn't grow up listening to a lot of Eric Clapton, but when I did start listening to him a little bit, I haven't explored him entirely in depth, but when I did start listening to him, I was thinking, all right, yeah, that works. That works really well. I can see why other people like him as well. Thank heaven there's so many other artists out there who are of an older generation, not just by age, but also by music genre, and even by maybe music dynasty per se, not just decades. Sometimes it's a dynasty. But this guy has influenced a lot of people, especially guitarists, and putting this out in a Christmas album, turned my head and I thought, all right, let's give this a listen and see what I think about it. So I'll say this right off the bat just so I can get it out there. Listening to this album, I did feel like it was released a little late. That doesn't mean that it's bad. I always say, good music doesn't age. Good music will always be good music. I'm sure some of you will debate that, so go ahead in the comments below if you want to. But let's get to my point. So what I'm trying to say is I don't feel like Eric Clapton's music in this album is outdated. I don't think that at all. But I do feel like he could have released this a few years earlier for a majority of the songs. It just feels like not even a decade ago. I mean, he could have done that, but it feels like, I felt like he was just the sound of this music doesn't sound like he tried to modernize it at all, except for one obvious song. And I'm not saying he has to. I think he should be sticking to his style unless he wants to continue to evolve his sound, but he's done it for so long that I think it's okay if he chooses to stick with what he's comfortable with and what he's good at. And a lot of other people would probably say the same. I'm just saying that just as a thought. I don't think that this music is bad. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm just saying it sounds like he worked on it a long time ago and for some reason is releasing it now. But I don't believe that is actually the case. That's just kind of how it comes off when I was listening to it. A lot of these songs sound like I would have found Eric Clapton very randomly in one of the Midwestern states, just doing a casual jam in late November and early December. Just me going on a road trip, and we saw a billboard, and I would be like, oh, Eric Clapton's playing some Christmas music. Why don't we just pull over for the night and listen to some of that? That's kind of the setting that I envision when I listen to a majority of the songs in this album. Now, his album as a whole has a lot of different kind of songs in it. He does do a few covers of traditional Christmas classics. He does also a few covers of other songs that were made for Christmas but weren't considered classics. They were just made by other people. And then he does have some of his own takes on Christmas music in general. The one cover of a very, very good Christmas classic that I like that he did is Away in a Manger. Lay down in sweet hair. Just an ever so light rock in this album with that song. And then one you probably aren't familiar with, but I would love for everyone to listen to is Christmas Tears. Merry Christmas. very, very bluesy. And I think that is kind of an element he's going for with a lot of these songs. And I don't know how many youngsters out there right now are going to care about that, because I don't know how many of them really understand how important blues really factors into the shape of all the genres we have these days. Even me, like, I listen to more jazz than I do blues, and blues is very important to jazz and vice versa. And oh my goodness, especially in this song, there's a solo. Like, we probably get that a lot more in these other type of genres, but man, I just love appreciating and listening to a solo in an album. Like, it just puts a smile on my face. I appreciate that we get to get those in songs, in albums these days. It's not just at a jazz combo concert. Plenty of other good songs in there, but there is one I did want to talk about because I have kind of mixed feelings on it. It's his rendition of Jingle Bells. So here's what this is. This is EDM house music with Eric Clapton and a couple other musicians playing some other instruments in the background. But you can very distinctly hear Eric Clapton's guitar with all the other things happening in the background and the very heavy house music. I guess not that heavy, but heavy enough that it's more of an EDM song. And this is supposed to be a tribute to Avicii. And when I was listening to it at first, like, I could only really appreciate the guitar portion of it, and I didn't really like the house stuff. Then I learned it was in tribute to Avicii. So I was like, okay, I can respect that a little bit more, but I don't know. A little bit of confusion there. So I'd like to know if any of you have heard that song. What did you think of it? Because I find it very challenging, very difficult for electric and dance music to be able to do anything Christmassy. Well, especially if you're going to cover songs. The only one who I really thought did a very good job was Cascade. If you haven't seen that review I have done of his Christmas album from last year, go check it out and go listen to that album. It's phenomenal. But anyway, back to Eric. Yeah, just plenty of good things here and there. Some stuff I don't normally listen to, but I listened very intently because his style and his genre and his talents can go way over your head if you're not paying attention. So I knew I had to do that, and I enjoyed it. It's not really the thing that I love listening to the most, but I can't take away the good stuff that comes with it. So it's not necessarily a mixed bag, but it is something where I'm like, I don't know how often I'll listen to this, but I appreciate and respect the fact how many of these songs are very well made. So after having listened and reviewed this album, with production of 93%, creativity 84%, expression and lyrics 88%, I'm going to give this album a good. Yeah, I'm pretty curious what everyone else thinks. Who has listened to this album? Who has listened to Eric Clapton? Who's like big into YouTube? Come on, let me know. I want to see how many people out there are going to reply to this, because there's some things in here that I was impressed with, some things that I thought meh, and there's other things that I'm like, I got to listen to that again, because I don't know if I heard it well the first time around. You got to do that a lot with music, especially with people who are of an older generation with great musical talent. If you're not paying attention, you're going to miss something. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you want to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment, remember all those things you got to do. Comment, like, subscribe, and all that good stuff so you can get that yes in your life. See you next time.
Where he lay, the little everybody singing Merry Christmas. And they want a child.